Welcome back, everybody. I like that, Hillary. I like that Dave's character is not the only one who's got dates. Get it? Because it's the same word for different stuff. Anyway, so okay, so we've killed Dave. Um,
Sorry, Dave.
so we fade out. We fade out on the rave, the magic rave. And do you feel like you got your? I want to give you make sure you get what you asked for in that role there, Yuri. Do you feel like you've learned what you wanted to learn about lyric, or did you have questions? Because you can ask me if there was anything in particular that you felt like you.
Nope. I think that's totally fine. Getting a better understanding of them, and I guess since we've had this experience of going to the thing, there'll be a more a closer ally sort of thing
Do you
in the
want
future.
do you want to create a sub clock for like get to know lyric better?
Sure.
Okay, let
Yeah.
me
I think
let me
that's
craft
definitely
you.
something I'm
Let me
working
The
craft
party
towards.
that raves together stays together.
I was gonna say the party that goes to raves together goes to the grave together, but that's the other role playing game. All right, so Yuri, I'm gonna
I mean, that could be good or bad.
yeah.
Maybe we live a really long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
What about that?
So I don't think lyric is too challenging to get to know. They're friendly. So let's give you this many. Go. And this will help with your other goal to gain the spirit sphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Lyric is a spirit master. Well, not master, but they have dots. Cool. Okay. All right. So that being settled, let's go ahead to the thing, the art thing, shall we, Kaguya?
Yeah.
I'm gonna flip it over to you, man. Andrew, you go ahead and you're the GM now. Go.
Okay, great. Kuya levels up a million times.
Perfect.
And Archwizard now. They're my GM PC, so they're all powerful. I know you love that, Adam.
It's my favorite. It's good. Okay, what else happens?
Okay, um, so we have our like old dilapidated library building. And in the entryway, there's like the little catered bit. Um, and as you walk through the space, it's been kind of like divided into compartments, or they're like maybe mostly using like they're not like enclosed fully, but just like the shelves have been moved around to create this kind of like pseudo maze like layout where you kind of have to like meander through it.
Yeah, and you
Um,
have you have the advantage of all the like library these movable library shelves that you can create a little like maze out of.
mhm. And so, yeah, the upper levels is all about like kind of slowly bringing you into this meditative state. Um, and a lot of so I think like pretty much all of because it's mostly sculptures. And so they'll be like in these uh, kind of made up little like room spaces. There will be like between 1 and 4 of these little sculptures, which are all made of like so like Kaguya's material choices reflect a lot of the work that Robert was doing, where so like a lot of the stuff is like brass and like the same kind of materials and like has like that kind of like gas lampy kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Um, and everything is clockwork. They're all these little like they have like some element where they are like moving rhythmically. Um, or but like Korea has managed to produce what is a very strange thing, which is like clockwork objects that move arrhythmically as well.
Hmm.
And so there are some of them that are like moving at irregular rates, which is like really bizarre, but they're like obviously clockwork and they're These kind of like
So
abstract sculptures that have mechanical components.
because what often creates that like rhythmicness is that like gears are built in a uniform fashion and they replicate. So is it that? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can't perceive this. Maybe we don't know why. But like, is it just that the patterns are so long or broad that people can't tell that it's arrhythmic, or is it that like?
Yeah, it's like that, or some of them have. I was like thinking, I had an 8-hour bus ride yesterday, so I got to think a lot of it.
Awesome.
So like some of them will have like there's a ball in a little like mini pachinko thing that gets like kicked up and moved around, and so like it kind of has a like pseudo random element that is in some way affecting the clockwork mechanism,
Right.
triggered at an interval. So it has stuff like that. So there are a bunch of those. Those are more rare. That they're like the arrhythmic ones. For the most part, there are a lot of them that actually tick, and they're all synced up throughout the entire showing. So there's this constant like metronome, which is designed to like lull you into that meditative state. And then, yeah, you end up like getting kind of guided through the circuitous route through the space. And it's designed to make you like kind of stop and contemplate at these, like, there's like an interval to that as well.
Right.
So there's like the individual beats of the metronome kind of ticking. And then there's these like larger beats as you move through the space. And that has kind of been orchestrated by Kaguya in the same way that they did like the meeting where everything was like framed in a certain way.
To carry on your metaphor, you're creating the pegs, and the people attending are the balls in the pachinko machine, right? Like they're dropping through the pegs in a certain order that you've like pre-designed. And
yeah, so
is it meant
like
to feel like that, or is it meant to feel like they have control, but it's happening like subtly where people are kind of
it's more subtle, right? Like the feng shui is leading you around, but you just kind of follow the flow. You don't really recognize that it's there. It's like how with good like interface design, people just know where to look for the button, and the button's just there, and you don't think like, oh, they put that there. It's just like, oh yeah, the button. It's just where I expect it to be.
Yeah.
So there's a feeling, like a very natural feeling to how you move through the exhibition.
Cool.
And then there are like these kind of like globe like upside down teardrop shaped sculptures are kind of the main feature. And so they'll be like these big weighty objects that then have these like incredibly delicate stilts that are like arcing little like stilts that they're on, and they're like the spheres or whatever shapes that are suspended in them will be like ticking and rotating, but some of them do it like occasionally take ticks backwards and then go forwards, and like there's all kinds of weird. Yeah, and they're designed to be like vaguely hypnotic as well. Like there's this whole sense of like being inside of a giant machine, which then like, and that feeling kind of creeps up on you. And then once you actually go into the lower levels where it's like literally a laboratory full of like old brass machines and stuff, then it like gets a bit more heavy handed.
Cool.
And that's the basis of it, like the main thing. And so it gets more and more surreal as you go through, obviously, because you end up going into a genuinely magical place. And like, down below is all fucking crazy and like shouldn't actually exist. But by the time people get there, they've been distanced from reality sufficiently that it feels kind of, expected that way.
Well, and the thing about the lab underneath is that it is a physical place. Like it's not occupying like a different dimension or whatever. Like it is there somewhere. There's like some metal domes and a glass bubble underwater, like under the bay somewhere. It's just that they're linked by some kind of it's the changing between those two places. Your correspondence magic is taking you from one place to another.
And also, like, no one would ever build that. It's totally crazy and weird.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's essentially designed to like prep people for that experience, and then once they go down below, it gets like extra weird.
Cool. It sounds unsettling, but also kind of awesome. Okay.
And then I think like if anyone has ever played the video game The Path or watched me playing it, the basement area is very Grandma's house from The Path. And if you haven't played that game, you should go play it. It's cool.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So Litany, at what point in that whole thing, how does the food come in? Where are people eating? Is it at the end? Is it at the beginning? Are there places where people can stop to like eat different things along the way?
I feel like there's a couple different spots set up so that there's like a thing with like a little table set up with some kind of like hors d'oeuvre spread, like when people come in and are milling around the like upstairs part.
Yep.
And then like another little thing like at the bottom of the stairs. And then yeah, so there's like, and I'm like trying to manage, like trying to get an understanding of, well, from my perspective at least, like what seems to be what the like flow of the event is meant to be, and like match up like basically courses or yeah, it's like a multiple course service almost, but for like orders. So
Cool. Okay, well let's have the two of you make a roll together then.
okay.
Let's do that because I think it's a collaborative effort to figure out how to integrate your two arts together. So why don't we have Litany roll? Because it's not about the food itself. We already know that. It's about the placement of the food in the space. What do you think? It seems to me to be like manipulation and etiquette, maybe, or manipulation and empathy.
I feel like this feels like more etiquette than empathy to me.
Sure. Right. Okay.
Because it's more about like finding the right moment. It's like having the right fork, or bringing like that you bring out this after you bring out this. Like there's an order.
Things being in their proper places.
Yeah, which I think is like a good overlap for the two of us also.
Totally.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like the formal elements of dining, Kaguya is more interested in some ways than like the actual food itself.
Cool. Okay. Let's have Kaguya. Let's have you roll, because your part in it is knowing how to fit these pauses into your existing machinery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say maybe like perception and etiquette for you, or perception.
Cool.
And I think that sounds about right.
And does my previous role of making my art installation carry forward for reducing difficulty for this stuff?
No, that one will reduce
That's
difficulty
for
on
the
any
magical?
magical effect that
Okay.
you do here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're both just rolling these. I'm gonna say you're working together. So you have extra dice, but it's a little more challenging than it normally would be. Let's call it difficulty 7, because it'd be 6 if you're doing it on your own. So both of
And
you
sorry,
roll
for mine it was perception.
perception and etiquette, and then
Etiquette.
manipulation and etiquette for
And it's 7 for both of us.
difficulty 7 for both of you, and then you'll just add your successes together. Nice, good start. Let's get 2.
I botch. I get a 10 and 2 1s.
All right. Well,
Again, the food is the best part of this event.
Litany, if Litany hadn't gotten 2 successes, this would be a wash. But Litany got 2. So, in what ways? I guess the two of you can answer this together. In what ways does the food overpower the like presentation of the event, the movement through the event? Like, there's something about the food that like. And you're starting to worry about this, Kaguya. You're starting to worry, like, maybe they're not going to remember anything but the sautéed mushrooms. How does that look? Like, what does that look like for the two of
Because
you?
the exhibit is not very sensual. It's more cerebral. So I think that's a big part of it, is that like appealing to our baser senses is distracting from the, it's one of those kind of things.
Unfortunately, Kaguya invited a lot of human beings to this event.
Right? They ruin everything.
Better than they do.
Well, and the other thing is, when you were setting it up, the only people you really had to be like, yes, this is good, were your familiar and your retainer, right? Who are just like reflections of you, or they're like constructed entities. They're like, yes, this makes sense to move from this place to the other. I like that.
I think that maybe part of it is that, like, yes, it's very cleverly done and it's all set up very perfectly, but it is actually like kind of cold.
Yeah.
And I think maybe people are like, it's like they're appreciating it at one level, but they're having trouble like connecting to
They
it.
can't relate. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, okay, that's neat how a person did this thing, but it's not like evoking. I think that like the part that it's missing is the part where art like evokes an emotional response in you, which maybe was or was not entirely.
I think
like,
you know what I think it might have stood on its own as one of those things where like it feels a bit like walking through an eerie factory, like just the way you describe it, Andrew, like that alone would affect me in a way that I would be like, this is unsettling and interesting, and I get like I'm being pushed through this machine, but to have the contrast of this very like sensual like food experience too is like a reminder of that you're a human in the machine, and so it's hard to connect with the pieces.
And also, it's kind of like good cop, bad coping you, or the
Yeah.
exhibit is like really uncomfortable. And so you can just like retreat into the food and be like, oh, but this is tasty. I'm going to eat it. And just like not.
yeah. And I
Feeling.
think it also represents that like we did not like super communicate about it was like, great, I'm going to do this part and you're going to do this part. And
Yeah.
I just made assumptions about what kind of thing would be best. And, you know, and you weren't like, okay, I'm really going for this. So can you make sure that the food like makes people a little bit uncomfortable and like feels like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I
No,
mean,
Kaguya was like, I trust you. And that was
Yeah.
it.
it's fine because later when Litany uses Life 3 to give everyone food poisoning and they all get sick at exactly the same time. Perfect.
Or whatever,
Or whatever.
be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the food, and especially the fact that I had like tied it into the like to the space, maybe like grounds people in a way in their bodies that like is actually like working a bit at odds with the way that the art is functioning.
Well, and it's a really interesting thing to think about too, because like Litany is creating this experience for humans, and Kaguya is not one, right? Like, and maybe that's something to think about. Kaguya, I don't want to. I mean, you think about how this would affect your character, but I think you're aware of that feeling of like,
Oh, yeah. I feel like alienated from all these people and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
feel comfortable. You feel comfortable in the space, but you don't necessarily feel like, yeah, no, I like it. Cool. Okay. So I think that there's people moving through the machinery of your space. There's the smell of like food and like spices in the air, but also this kind of like machiney sort of smell, like the oil on the parts. And we come in on like let's see, Desmond is standing looking at something, some part of he's part of the way through the machine. He's wearing he's still wearing his little like green like communist army cap and like fatigue like pants, but he's got a like a white t-shirt with like a blue comet on it and some like writing in Japanese. And he's standing there with his arms folded and he's like looking at something. What is the thing he's looking at, Kaguya?
Yeah, and he's like partway through. So maybe it's like right before you head down into the basement.
Mhm.
And so there were those lamps that Victoria like destroyed on her way through.
Mhm.
And so I've created this like this kind of like mandala pattern thing it's just on this like blank white little like pedestal.
Mhm.
And there's this mandala made out of like broken glass fragments.
Mhm.
And or it looks like a lotus flower if you look at it from the side, but there's this like big pattern.
I love art like that where it looks really different from different angles. I saw a wood carving in Japan that was like a huge, like the size of a door, and from one side it was like a dragon in like a pond, and the other side it was all birds, but it all had holes in it, so it was carved like perfectly. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's standing like looking at this like broken glass mandala when you come up.
Oh, and also for the record, Hugo and Sky are both in the space as well, but we've just kind of choreographed it so that we're always in different sections of the exhibition. So people would be like, oh, yeah, Kaguya was there at that time. They're like, no, they were downstairs.
Yeah,
And then they
right.
also won't really remember me.
Totally. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and also the conversations they would have would be very weird. Where they're like, I was just talking, I was just talking to Kaguya, and they were being like really like cardboard and strange. And then the other person would be like, "Oh, that's funny. I was just talking to them upstairs, and they seemed like they were drunk." Like, yeah, it'd be very
Yeah,
weird.
Sky would always be kind of like off topic a little bit and just like meandering thoughts. And then yeah, Hugo would be very like perfunctory and yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think everybody at this point, like Yori and Lyric and Kaguya and Lenny, you're all there. Desmond is there. There's some like background actors. We have like some kind of extras around. And it feels busier than it is because you're in these little like crowded kind of like hallways, right? So you can never see more than a few people at once, but you always have people in sight.
Hmm. And so yeah, it's like me and Dez.
Yeah, I mean you see him and you
And yeah, so I like walk over to the thing that he's looking at. And it's like it's kind of at a height where you can like at like table height or whatever. So you kind of like stand over it and can like peer into it.
mm-hmm.
And so I like walk up and I just like gently put my hands on one corner of the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
You say, "Oh, hello, Desmond."
Yeah, he kind of like looks up. Oh, hey Kuya. I like
How
what
are you?
you've I like what you've done with the place.
Mm. Well, one nice thing about the library, I suppose, it's a very modular space.
You looking to expand? And one dilapidated place wasn't enough.
No, this is just more of a happening. We'll be gone tomorrow.
He nods. It's like, no, I like it. Very run down. It's good.
Yes, well, it does afford us certain opportunities, and I like look down at the mandala. It's like this is what I'm actually talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He looks at it, and he says, "Yeah, I had a weird conversation with Victoria earlier today. I don't know how she got my phone number." Kind of like looks accusingly at you, like not aggressively, like "How dare you?" But like, "Do you know anything about that?"
I'm just the picture of innocence.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, she was asking about, like, gestures around. I said I didn't know I wasn't helping, but man, she's on the warpath.
Bit of a blunt instrument, that one. And I like look down at the glass again, very forlornly.
Yeah, and I think he kind of like takes the hint and he looks at it and he's like, yeah, I don't think he knows what to say. I think he looks at it and he kind of like, you can see him like absorbing the thing, and not really like, yeah, not really being sure what to say about it.
So I think Kaguya will just we're both like looking down into this pattern, and I start just like describing like attributes of the pattern to kind of like explain to him the like divine ordering of it or whatever, and like using this like range of language from like like East Indian, like mandala, or like other like everywhere that a mandala or that imagery comes up, I'm like picking and choosing like language from each of those groups when I'm talking about it. Like I talk about like the chi or whatever of it, or like the like it just kind of is this weird hodgepodge of different ideologies that I describe it with. But then kind of the idea is, and I'm kind of like tacitly inviting him to do the same, is that I'm just going to use this pattern to like harvest some quintessence, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just like, yeah, let's have like a little mage snack and get some magic energy together.
Yeah, I think he says something about he's like well that's the thing, isn't it, right? Like you can tell that all these pieces came from different bulbs, but you couldn't put them all back together to make one, right? Like you're missing sections, and you can tell he's looking at it as a series of broken objects, not as a new thing.
Yeah, because that's more his paradigm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing
And
it
so,
as what it was rather than what it is.
yeah, and I kind of like invite him to look at it from my perspective, or at least like describe my
Sure.
process
Yeah,
a
the
little
two of
bit.
you, I think the two of you have like a short philosophical debate about the nature of broken things.
Yeah, yeah, and like could be a stoked to learn what he how he thinks about it too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I personally, Andrew, I really enjoy the idea of him looking at it as just like, oh, this is a collection of broken things.
Yeah, he expects you to be more impressed when he's like, "Oh, it's obviously a bunch of broken bulbs." Like he can tell that by looking at it
Mhm.
rather than just like, "Oh, it's pretty glass." Right?
Yeah, and I nod and I'm like, yes, well, blunt instrument.
Cool. Okay. So how does the quintessence thing work for you? How do you gather quintessence?
So I think it's in the rule book
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. I don't have my rule book with me because
That's
I'm
okay. Um,
afield, but I
let's
believe it's a meditation roll
okay.
to get
Um,
it.
let's take a look at prime absorb a quintessence. Um, let me see. Let me look at prime two specifically.
So I don't think it requires that you use the prime sphere to do it because
Okay.
like everyone can do it. Um, it might
It might
be
be under the meditation skill.
under meditation or something,
Okay.
or in the descriptions of quintessence itself.
Okay. I'll take a look. Okay, let it see here. Refresh your quintessence rating. See the avatar and quintessence traits later in this chapter. All right, so it must be
There we go.
quintessence. Page 331. There we go. Only took me 2 separate searches to find it this time. Okay, cool. Absorb quintessence sphere. Blah, blah, blah. Channeling quintessence. So you can spend it to reduce difficulty, which we know. You're limited by the amount by your avatar, that we know. You can counter paradox or fuel counter magic with Prime 5. Absorb quintessence through your avatar through prime spells or procedures, through tasks or some wonder that recharges quintessence. Channeling it requires meditation at a node. Um,
Oh, so I actually have to be at a node in order to gain it?
yeah, but I also think that like you're using admittedly like a dying magical space. So
But I've also like brought the people here.
yeah. That's
Like
what I
part of
mean.
the
Like you'll only be able. It's a node is like a place that gives up magic. It's like a wellspring, but in this case, you can absorb it. You can absorb it
Yeah,
yourself.
I've done enough fictional positioning to get access to it, basically.
That's right. Okay, so let's just you know what, fuck it. I'll figure out what the exact rules are later. Let's make a meditation roll.
Cool.
And we'll make it difficulty because it's not magical. You're just like absorbing your absorbing it through mundane meditation. So we'll make it a difficulty. Let's make it a difficulty 7 roll. And it can be. I guess it'd be probably intelligence and meditation or
Or like wits.
wits and meditation. Yeah, I think either one is fine. I guess it's quicker than normal. So yeah, let's say wits and meditation, and you can recover one quintessence for every success you get up to your avatar. So up to 3. But that's
Great.
it. That'll drain the space, and this counts for the whole thing, like the whole art show.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's.
Actually being allowed to do something that's like really high prime level. Looking at like energy vampirism's rules, taking quintessence off of people and places without them knowing is like prime 5.
Yeah, it's intense. Yeah, the
Yeah,
high
to do
prime
it
stuff
like
is intense. This is very like passive and like regenerative rather than like yeah, I'm gonna steal your quintessence from you and turn you into a dried out husk.
Yeah. It's quite cool though.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
All right. Make that roll.
I'm sorry, it was difficulty 7?
Yes, please.
I got 2
Nice.
successes.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, so you get the result that you wanted. You absorb quintessence from the space, from your work. And while this role actually takes place sort of throughout the art show, we just use this scene with Desmond to kind of focus on it.
And yeah, like part of Kaguya's thing is about like sharing this with the other mages too. So I'm offering Des a chance to like yo,
Cool.
it's
Yeah.
empowering
This is kind of like Kaguya found the space. It was already dying. You've prepared it for its like ritual dissection and are feeding the bits of it to everybody around you, like all the other members of your pack. That's really cool. I like it.
and the people attending kind of act as a catalyst for all that stuff too.
Nice. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they're all kind of like drawing the energy out of it to like nibble on it in their little mundane way and then get excited about it and disperse it.
Right. Yeah. They're the blood in the water.
Or
Cool.
they're like the enzymes in the stomach that are digesting it for us.
Right. I like it. Cool. All right. So, so while you're having that conversation, we like pan across the crowd to Litany. Now, Litany, the food is like out, and no one has to serve it. So, what are you doing in this like weird mechanical art show?
I mean, I'm not like actively serving it because I would have to be in too many places at once, which is a problem for me.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm just basically like keeping an eye on like making sure to like have enough out. And so I'm like putting stuff out and like kind of watching people and like seeing how things seem to be going and whatever. Yeah. So I'm catering, I'm working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're being very like perceptive of the space and everything. And I think that you notice Lyric by themselves, just like staring at a piece of art, kind of like head cocked to one side. They're wearing like a gray blazer and jeans and like high heels, like dark blue like high heels, and yeah, they're holding onto like a leather like purse that's like sort of like pretty worn out. It's probably got like duct tape around one of the ends of the strap. And yeah, you just noticed them. Like you didn't see them come in, but you just noticed that they're here.
Do they seem like interested or like wrapped up in the art thing, or is it like I notice them and they seem like isolated and lonely about it? Or
I don't know. Why don't you make a roll? Perception and empathy. Why don't you try to
Perception and empathy.
read a person?
Already loaded up in my dice pools.
I love
love
that.
it.
Yeah, you get the little like chamber of rolls that you've made.
Yeah.
I really like how Lyric is very much like the mage of happy feelings, and then Kaguya is the mage of sad feelings.
Yeah. Okay. They seem like they're trying to seem like they get it. Like they're kind of doing the like, art. Interesting. But there's no one around. They're like performing for themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Machine recognizes machine.
Game recognized game.
Yeah. I'll go over to them then.
Okay. So yeah, they're so intent on the game they're playing with themselves that I don't think they hear you come up.
Yeah. And so then I'll say it again. I'll be like, Lyric?
And then they
Do you
kind of like
want
they like start a little
like,
and they turn around.
I was like, do you want a mini tart? And like hold it out to them.
How is Litany dressed?
All in black. Like I'm wearing like my catering outfit, like my I'm working outfit.
As someone with a predominantly black wardrobe, I do often have anxiety about going places and having like service staff being dressed the same way and being like walking to the bathroom and being like, please don't mistake me for someone who works here. I can't help you.
See, whereas Adam, I don't always dress in black, but no matter what store I'm in, people assume I work there.
When I went to Bike Doctor the other day, I got two separate people ask me if I for like bike something, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't, no, I can't help
Yeah.
you.
I
Call my friend
is
Andrew.
more wardrobe, and mine is more like I exude some kind of helpfulness thing that people pick up on. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, she's wearing. I'm wearing, yeah, like a pair of yeah, like Mary Jane Danskos that are like my like work shoes, but my like cuter ones.
Hmm.
Um, and a pair of black pants and a like button up black shirt with a little black bow tie. And yeah, I've got my hair like pulled back into like a high bun, and there's another little matching bow on the back of that.
Cute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lyric.
So it's like a little bit more formal, but it's also just like practical. I've got the sleeves rolled up, just past my elbows on my shirt.
Yeah, you startle lyric a little bit, and they turn around, and they've got under their blazer, which is like also like the bag, like a little threadbare, kind of like shiny in the elbows. They're wearing a like a mid '90s like WrestleMania tank top underneath,
Nice.
with like a picture of the Ultimate Warrior.
Like the kind that are like a skank top with like really low
Yeah,
cut.
yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty like worn too. So it's like threadbare.
This reminds me of
Ultimate
I
Warrior
literally
in the
had a
front.
conversation with another regular at my regular coffee shop where they were wearing a tank top that happened to have really low cut sides and then a vest over it to prevent like side showage.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, good. I've made this more formal and totally eliminated lewdness. We did it.
Yeah, so they turn around and kind of like start a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, hey," and then they kind of like see how you're dressed and stuff, and they're like, kind of that awkward, like, "Are you working? Should I talk to work litany, or like, should I not
I'm
talk
like,
to
you should
you?"
eat this.
Yeah, okay.
It's
So
good.
what
I
is
made
it?
it. It's like a little mini tart, like crust, and it's some kind of like maybe like a mushroom quiche or something with a tiny little sprig of fresh greens like sitting on the very top.
Okay, yeah. They take it and like pop it in their mouth, and while
Mhm.
they're chewing it, they're like, "So, art.
And I'm like, yeah, art.
It's a little creepy. Is that okay to say? I'm a little creeped out."
I think maybe it's supposed to be. Like, I feel like I don't really get it.
I get it, and I feel like I shouldn't. It feels like we're like they're looking around, obviously, so that they don't like Kaguya doesn't overhear them talking. And they're like, I
Yeah.
feel like we're looking at someone's underwear drawer. It's just too personal.
Like, I mean, this is some weird underwear.
Then I think they just grin at
I
you
mean,
like you
and
don't
then
even.
I shrug and I'm like, there's weird. And then we both shrug like as if though, right? And
Yeah,
like,
you both realize the absurdity of that sentence. You're just like,
yeah.
yeah, weird underwear. I think Lyric blushes actually.
Excellent.
Um, and they're like, so Yori was telling me something about a robot. It sounded intense. Is everybody okay? And do you still have like do you have like a cut or a bruise or something that's visible?
I mean, maybe not on my face, I don't think, because I didn't get. Did it like punch me in the face? No.
I mean, there was a lot of like grappling and like being
Yeah, I was
scraped.
mostly just being squashed.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yeah, I feel like my ribs are still bruised up. You can't really see it. I'm like, yeah, and I kind of like look at my hands where I still have like the lines that I like cut that are, just still scabbed, and it's like I'm like, yeah, I'm a little bruised up still, to be honest. I'd show you, but, and I kind of roll my eyes like it would be improper.
Yeah, they laugh. They're like, yeah, not that kind of party.
Apparently.
Y'all should be careful. I mean, I don't want to pull a Victoria or anything, but spirits are pretty serious business, and if you don't have the equipment to deal with them, they can get kind of out of hand. From what Iori said happened, I wouldn't be surprised if that one was still wandering around somewhere. I mean, just because, the body's gone doesn't mean that the spirit is necessarily, and sometimes they can get angry if you break up their receptacle.
I'm like, yeah, I honestly like don't really know too much about that stuff.
So-
and don't worry, Victoria did a sufficient job of being Victoria for everybody.
Eora, you are, I think, unless you're not here for some reason, you're present for, you hear this conversation. Maybe you don't see the Litany, like you're around a corner and you hear Lyric and Litany talking. So you can, if you want, you can come around the corner, or you can like.
There are all kinds of weird acoustics too. Like you hear
Totally.
conversations that are happening really far away and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
The ticking gets echoed around.
Yeah, I think I do come around the corner for that, and I'll be like, "Is there a way for you to be able to find out?" Like if
Hello.
And he's like,
So yeah, again, Lyric like gets startled and they're like, oh, hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was okay. And you said about the spirit might still be here, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but this is I don't even know the word. Kuya's creator, dad, maker. And they're like, help. I don't know, like, what's the appropriate word for that person? Do you know? You're closer friends with them than I am.
Mentor inverted commas.
Yeah, scare quotes, mentor. If this place belonged to them, the Society of Ether just doesn't have a great track record with treatment of spirits. Now, I don't want to get all PETA about this, but, you know, there's ways to handle them and ways not to, and I mean, they're mad enough that we exist sometimes, let alone if you put them in a bottle and boss them around.
Wait, does that mean they're going to remember about what happened here before? Like the people who did that to them?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're not necessarily going to want to, you know, talk to you about it, especially if you fought them with a sword or whatever. And I'm not saying that was the wrong thing to do, because some spirits are mean. They're just jerks. But if it's still around, it might be encouraged to talk. It might remember. I don't know. I haven't met the thing.
Well, if you can facilitate that somehow, that would be great to know, wouldn't it? Unless you think it's too dangerous. This is your thing.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm prepared. And I just like...
he's like, pull a sword out.
I do. I have like a massive sword just like under a trench coat. Just like, but I mean, I don't know if I can beat up with those.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of two ways to do it, right? We can make the spirit come to us, or we can go to where it lives. It's going to be angrier if we try to make it come here, but we're going to be safer.
Do we need a Ouija board or something?
I think they laughed. Like, no, those things don't work anyway. I mean, I would need some stuff. I'd have to go home and get it. And by home, I mean your house. But maybe. I don't... And you can see them, like, they're having a confidence issue, but they're trying not to, like, they're not sure they can do it. And they're definitely, like, trying to stall until you, like, let them off the hook.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, you seem to know a lot more about, like, spirits and stuff than, I mean, I do at least. Bodies and, like physical beings, that I understand. Like spirit stuff, I don't know.
Yeah.
So if you think it's a problem, then I trust you that it's a problem. But I mean, I'm here to help. I'm happy to do whatever. Should we call Victoria? Is this a Victoria level problem?
And I think there's just like a lot of awkward shifting of the eyes. Like, I hope not. I don't want to. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this stuff. You obviously do. I don't know if she does. She probably thinks she does.
You'll be fine. I mean, if you can do it, you don't have to worry about the spirit itself. I'm sure I can could you make it so that I could beat up a ghost? Like, could you make me a magic spirit?
So they laugh and they're like, that sounds like something that Victoria would say. And yeah, they probably could make you a magic sword for beating up spirits, but going around just beating up spirits is why they don't like us in the first place. So, if you come at it with that attitude, it's not going to go great. I mean, okay, some spirits you want to boss them around. Some of them, you need to show them who's boss, but I don't know this one, so maybe not that.
Okay. Well, I'll be there for when you try it. If I can do anything to help.
I should talk to Kaguya. I mean, it's their space.
Sure, I'll come with you.
Okay. So, are you all having this conversation somewhere? Like, Litany, you want to go too?
I mean, I'm like, yeah, we probably should. And then I like kind of look over and I like check my watch and I'm like, I can come.
Okay. All right. So,
And I'm like, unless you two would rather on your own, or
Lyric just shrugs like, more the merrier. And besides,
okay.
I don't want
Don't wanna
anybody else
sit behind
around
the
if
three's company and all.
if this spirit gives me a heart attack. I mean, no offense, Iori, but points at Litany. I want her to, fix it.
Well, I didn't bring a defibrillator, if that's what you're asking. And I wink.
Right. Okay. So in another room somewhere, what does this room look like? This is like outside of the exhibit. Maybe it's like storage, or maybe it's like an office or whatever. What does this room look like, Kaguya, where you have this like private conversation with the three of them?
Oh, I think it's just like, because I've rearranged all the shit in the space, it's just like outside of the arrangement. And so it's like we're just on the other side of one of the sets.
You're like, it's like you've stepped behind the ride at Disneyland, right? Like you're outside
exactly.
the flow. Okay, cool. All right. So so you're in the room, and who is the one that like brings this up with Kaguya? Because Lyric doesn't know Kaguya as well and is a little intimidated by them, so they don't say anything.
I mean, I will. I think I'll be like, I think everything is going pretty well. Everyone really loves the food. The art is great. I mean, beyond my comprehension.
Lyric, I think when you say the art is great, Lyric nods and is like, yes, the art is fantastic. It's very artful.
Okay, these
There's
kids
so
are all
many
bullshitting me,
levels.
and I want to know that they are.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I make some kind of empathy roll.
Yeah,
just to be like,
perception and empathy for sure.
okay, great. I'm gonna do that.
And if you succeed, you can spend your successes on each individual person to get their real feelings about your art.
Great.
Now, if so, it sounds like Litany might be actively. Litany, do you want to actively oppose this roll? Do you want to make a manipulation and subterfuge?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
So you got 2 successes.
my demeanor is machine. I feel like I'm obligated to.
Yeah, totally. Okay,
Agreed.
so with the 2, I think Lyric, you'll just Lyric. I'll just tell you, Lyric doesn't get it, but is trying to be respectful and nice, and is also intimidated by you, and doesn't want to make you mad.
Great.
And what am I rolling?
As for Litany, difficulty 6, manipulation and subterfuge.
Okay.
Telling lies, telling sweet little lies. No, for sure. I love it. Okay. So in the case of a tie, I don't think we've gotten this on this long without a tie.
Fight to the death.
Yeah, it's a sword battle. Immediately, it just happens. You have to have this like side battle.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I mean it's in the rules. You have to sword fight. It says right here. Let me look it up. It's annoying, Acrobat, when you search for something, it searches for, by default, anything in the word. So when I look for ties, it gives me, like, activities. Let me grab the rules, book rules. Here we go.
That's why you can put spaces. Sometimes that helps.
Versus roll. Yeah, you can. There's actually like a grab only the. Grab only. Here we go. So types of action. Try again. Teamwork. Okay, we're gonna make a note when I find this so that we don't forget next time. Weird. Yeah, I totally can't find it.
I will look.
Okay, thanks.
I will make an attempt of looking.
Like I'm in the right section. I'm finding like teamwork and here we go. Resisted actions. In a resist action, you subtract from each other. The dice rolls depend on what you're rolling. Roll against the same difficulty. Huh. Totally doesn't say.
You would really, really hope.
You'd really think it would say.
I mean, Adam, if Hillary is canceling out my successes, then I just have 0 successes.
Right, but you're canceling her successes to lie to you. Right? Like your perception is trying to, her lie is a quality to lie, and you're canceling out her successes. So, but the thing is, if you don't get a read on her, then she gets what she wants, right? Unless you're trying to, like, Litany, are you trying to make Kaguya think that you actually do like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to, like...
So I guess in this case, it's a neutral. It's like you don't know what Litany thinks.
I'm like, I don't want it to come across that I'm like, this is weird and I don't get it. Like, I want to come across like, yeah, which is the truth. But
cool. Okay. Yeah, so I just like can't get a read on Litany one way or the other. And Lyric is an open book to me.
Yeah. Lyric is just intimidated by you and doesn't want to hurt your feelings because they think, I don't know, they just don't want you to feel bad because that might go badly for them, I guess.
Okay, yeah, so I kind of like realize that, and you know, it hurts me on the inside a little bit.
Yeah.
If it helps, I do get it.
Okay, so to counter that, Iori.
Yeah, like Iori is just like, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And yeah, I think Kaguya looks like visibly relieved when you say that, because I've been very like anxious about like, oh, they like it, hope they get it. Yeah, so I kind of like decompress a little bit, and then yes, well, I appreciate that it's a little strange and maybe a bit personal, but hopefully you can all make use of what's happening to, you know, for your craft.
That's why we came over to you, actually. We had an idea. Don't we, Lyric?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
So
like very interested and am paying a lot of attention to Lyric, and there's lots of eye contact.
sure. Okay. So actually, that's probably a great place to take our break because Lyric's like, okay, so, and then we'll cut to break and we'll find out what the plan is, and we can talk about how that's going to go when we come back.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we're starting in a haunted library, so.
I mean, but I don't think Desmond's delivered your Buster Sword yet, so.
Right. It's a fine. Even if you had it, it wouldn't be a Ghostbuster, just a regular one.
Get it.
All right. Stick around. We'll be back after this.